Here's how to install plasterboard to take your wall from this to this. Hi, I'm Dale. This is how to install plasterboard. Let's get into it. Start by measuring the length and height of the wall you're covering with a tape measure to get accurate dimensions. Plasterboard typically comes in standard widths, 1200mm and 1350mm, and are available in various lengths. Ideally, you should select a sheet length that is slightly longer than your wall. This will help to minimize cuts, joins, and waste. Plasterboard thickness also varies, typically ranging from 10mm to 16mm. Thicker plasterboard provides better sound insulation and added durability, making it ideal for areas where these factors are important. However, it's worth noting, the thicker the plasterboard, the heavier it is, which can make handling and installation more challenging. To cut the plasterboard, use a T-square to ensure your cuts are square. Using a utility knife, score along the T-square before snapping the plasterboard along the score. Once your plasterboard is ready and fits into place, it's time to secure it to the wall. When looking at your wall, you will need to use a combination of stud adhesive and screws to fix the plasterboard in place. This is a guide on where to place your stud adhesive dabs and where you will insert your screws. Along the bottom of the wall, you will need to place 10mm packers to allow for expansion of the plasterboard across the seasons. These will eventually be hidden by your skirting boards. Using a spatula, apply the stud adhesive to the spots where the plasterboard will be attached. Then carefully lift the plasterboard sheet into position, holding against the wall studs. When inserting your screws, make sure you don't insert them too deep. You want them to sit just under the plasterboard surface. Space the screws about 200mm apart, along the end of the studs only. There is no need to screw through the middle of the plasterboard if using stud adhesive. Once the boards are screwed into place, apply jointing tape over the joins between the sheets. Now that's on, let's get started with our corners. We have both internal and external corners that we need to do before we continue on with the flat joint of our wall. Let's start with the external corner. We've hung this plasterboard so that both sides meet seamlessly. External corners can be a bit more prone to wear and tear, so they need to be a bit tougher. Start by attaching a metal corner bead to the corner using staples. This gives you a solid edge to work with and protects the corner from knocks. Over your corner, apply a base coat of plaster, making sure we cover the corner bead completely. This allows the plaster to press firmly against the corner bead, while also tapering out smoothly onto the wall surface. Now for the internal corners. Here we need to apply the paper joining tape into the corner, securing it right into the corner, nice and tight, so that it prevents cracking in the future. To secure the paper jointing tape, apply a thin coat of your base layer to this internal corner first. Once the paper tape is on, load some plaster onto your hook, then onto your trowel. Then start by applying a thin layer of plaster to both sides of the internal corner. For internal corners, you don't need to apply a second coat. After the base coat compound is completely dry, in the corners and on the flat joins, apply a top coat and feather out evenly, ensuring it blends nicely with your plasterboard. You can use a corner trowel and run it up the corner from top to bottom in one smooth motion. Typically, the drying time can range from 12 to 24 hours. However, it's always best to refer to the manufacturer's instructions on the compound packaging for the most accurate drying time. Once you don't require any more layers, use a sander to smooth out any rough areas. Ensure the surface is even and ready for the final finish. And there you have it, a perfectly plastered flat wall with both internal and external corners that are now ready for painting. If you like this video, make sure to check out our other instructional guides. We've got plenty of DIY advice online to help you tackle your next project with confidence.